joining us today, and here I have with me Liz Copeland, who is a divorce mentor. And Liz is going to talk to us about the various stages of divorce, what we should be doing, and how a divorce mentor can actually help us. So welcome, Liz. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Right, so here we are. We're talking here with Liz Copeland, obviously, who's our divorce mentor. And Liz, we're going to be talking in this session about the stage 2 of the stage that we discussed, which is dealing with some of the more sort of practical and legal issues rather than the emotional side of divorce. So what are the first steps you would suggest that women should take at this part of the process?
The first thing I would do is, well, two things in parallel. One is go and look on the government website, gov.co.uk. If you go onto there is a whole section on divorce, and it explains what divorce is. It explains things like the difference between divorce and separation, the different things that a lawyer can do for you. So, and also it deals with a lot of the legal jargon.
Right.
So I think the more information you can get to educate yourself, the better.
Right.
At the same time, talk to a lawyer to see what your position is regarding your rights in divorce and what you are entitled to ask for, because most people have no idea. For example, the starting point in English law when you have a divorce is that everything is split 50-50. And then you negotiate away from that. So if you've got a husband who is saying to you, oh, I'm going to be very generous, I'm going to give you 50% of everything, actually he's not being generous because that's what the law says anyway. But if you don't know that that's the law, you know, you might be manipulated into thinking that you're getting a fantastic deal. So the more about the law you know, the better. Most solicitors will give you a small amount of free time to talk things over at the beginning.
Right.
And in that session, you're not going to get to know all you need to know about the divorce process, but it will give you a chance to get to know the lawyer, decide whether you like how they work, and therefore, if you want to have them as a lawyer long term, you've had a sort of chemistry check, you know whether you're going to get on with them or not.
Yeah.
And I did a survey last autumn, and I was asking people various things about how they chose their lawyer and how they got on with the lawyer. 50% of people chose a lawyer through personal recommendation.
Right.
So that's a pretty good place to start. Obviously, it's helpful if you know someone whose divorce has been similar to yours.
Right.
In other words, if you're dealing with financially complex assets and somebody else has been in the same situation, you know that their lawyer will be able to handle what you're offering. If you happen to be a footballer's wife, footballers' contracts are very, very complex, and therefore splitting them in divorce is very difficult. So should you happen to be a footballer's wife, it's useful to know another footballer's wife who's got divorced so that they know a lawyer who can handle that.
Right. And presumably, though, you can go and see more than one lawyer and to establish whether or not that rapport is there and whether you have the confidence that they're the right party to represent you. Because it's really important, isn't it, to choose the right one at this stage, because the implications for your life are quite major.
Absolutely, absolutely. Most people would choose a lawyer within their sort of geographical vicinity, because it's very useful to be able to get to the lawyer's office easily. But I'd certainly recommend having a chat with 2 or 3. 3 is probably the maximum, because if you have chats with more than 3 lawyers, your brain probably explodes or something. I mean, you know, you just get overwhelmed by it. So choosing between more than 3 options just becomes difficult.
Right.
But certainly have a chat with 2 or 3.
And then if somebody wanted to come to somebody like yourself, for instance, obviously we've talked that's the practical side of things, the legal side of things. What would somebody like yourself be able to add to that process? Now, as a divorce mentor, what would you be able to assist with?
One of the things that people have trouble with in divorce is decision making, because they don't know what they want. The lawyer can tell you what you are legally entitled to, and the lawyers are also reasonably good at telling you what would be financially the most beneficial outcome. In other words, how you would come out with the most money.
Yeah.
You might need a financial advisor in on that as well. And sometimes the lawyers and financial advisors work together with you. The problem with that is that it depends what your goals are. And sometimes you have a goal of wanting a particular outcome that might give you slightly less money, but slightly more security or more comfort, or you just want to be able to get on with everybody a bit better. There are all sorts of non-financial aspects to making those decisions that the lawyers aren't equipped to help you with. And you know, worst case scenario is that you spend a whole load of money on legal fees. Your lawyer gets you a cracking financial deal, but you hate your lawyer because you haven't got what you want. Now, it might be that, you know, maybe what you wanted was peace and harmony for everyone, and that's probably not realistically going to be achievable in divorce. But if you come to me as a coach and you say to me, I want peace and harmony in my divorce, I can then coach you through that, and we'll talk about the likely hitches and vexations you're likely to come across. We can role play your reactions to them. We can decide which of those outcomes you want to choose. So you can get through your divorce without actually taking a hatchet to your ex, so you can get the maximum peace and harmony you can achieve and still allow your lawyer to go and get you the cracking divorce settlement.
Right.
So it's balancing different wants and desires.
But presumably, you know, the ex involved in this is also wanting to get the deal that they want for them as well. So no, they may have their own coach or divorce mentor or set of advisors, you know, I guess framing their needs and wants, you know, financially and otherwise in this scenario.
Yeah, I suppose in a way the easiest person to negotiate with is somebody who's just fixed on the money. Because at least you know what their outcome's going to be. They're just going to go for the maximum of everything, and you can negotiate your way around that. What you find, there are two things I would say to people. One is that divorce is always a negotiation. You're not going to get everything you want. He's not going to get everything he wants. If he gets everything he wants or you get everything you want, that's not a negotiation, that's a dictatorship. So, you know, you have to negotiate. So it's really, really important that you have what you value top of the list.
Right.
And that you can push all you can to get that. The other thing I would say is that you're probably scared, you're operating from a place of fear. I can remember opening up divorce documents and I would feel physically sick just with fear, with having to deal with it all. I mean, I got over that, I got past that because I had to. But there is this fear place that you will be in, but so is your ex. So when they're negotiating, if they are negotiating from a fear place, and if you are negotiating from a fear place, then neither of you will negotiate very well. And so sometimes part of the skill that I'm teaching people is to help them deal with their ex and help them deal with their ex's fear. Not that you become the coach for your ex, but you learn to handle it just sufficiently well so that you can get what you want out of the whole process.
Right. Interesting. Well, thank you for that. And I guess then the stage 3, then once you go through all this process, is actually putting things in motion to actually rebuild your life. And I think that's what we're going to be covering in our next topic of discussion. So thank you. That's Liz Copeland at thedivorcementor.com. Thank you for that. And hopefully people will join us for the life rebuilding element.
Great.